All right, after a chaotic last couple weeks of the NBA season, we're more or less set with our bracket. Obviously, there's some play-in games that could affect things. I think we probably know the two teams that should come out of each conference, just depending on seeding. So we shall see. We're going to get right into this bracket and analyze some series, pick a champion, and yeah.
All right, we're rolling. We've got the NBA playoffs here. We are excited. You can't see who the 8 seed is facing here. That's just kind of how NBA pick'em bracket works, is what it is. But our kind of guesstimate is it doesn't matter. Like they're gonna win is the simple logic, I think, for the Thunder. I'm
It's
going with
most
the
likely going
sweep.
to be Thunder Grizzlies. I think the Grizzlies probably can get a game, but I feel like it's probably Thunder in 5 if I had to pick.
I'd go with sweep. I think this is a
I think the
coaching.
Grizzlies can win a game at home. Like go down 2-0, win game 3, lose game 4, lose game 5, and kind of, I don't know. I mean, they're still a good team. Like I think there's a huge difference between the Grizzlies in the 8 and whoever's in the 9 and 10. Like they're still a team that was close to 10 games over 500. Like they're savable. I mean, they've looked decent post coaching change. I know they lost their last 2 games or 2 of the last 3 or whatever, but Jaw's offensive game has come a long way post coaching change. I think that switch up has been super helpful for him, just getting him more involved in the offense and making him kind of attacking offensively versus kind of being a facilitator. So I've liked the way it looks. I mean, the Thunder win regardless. There's no point in being super long-winded about it, but I think they probably get a game. I don't know. Jackson, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's probably more likely than not, or more likely for the Grizzlies to snatch a game during the series than it would be for OKC to sweep. I could definitely see the sweep. The Grizzlies have kind of been dealing with some injuries, so there's not really any telling if come game time all the starters are going to be there, which I think lends to the OKC side of things. But I do think just with like the way the Grizzlies play, they're kind of a unique team in terms of their pace, their scrappiness. So I like their odds to get one playoff win, mostly because the OKC is just still young.
Yeah.
All right, on to the next one. Not really much to be said there. If it's the Warriors, I think that forebodes very poorly for their playoff futures. It's the one spot they can't go.
I think in a vacuum, them playing against the Thunder in a series, they'd have a decent chance. I just think if they play them the first round, it means they lose on Tuesday, then have to play again on Friday and lose that, and then have to fly straight to Oklahoma and get right into a series. Like it's just not going to go well. I think if they see them later on, like they have a chance, but I wouldn't like this spot for it to happen for sure. So,
all right, Nuggets Clippers. I just don't believe NBA's pick 'em odds thing here. I believe majority of people will be picking Clippers in this series. I think it makes a lot of sense. That's personally where I'm going to go for now.
Yeah. The Nuggets are the odds-on favorite, I know, to advance out of the series. I think it's like minus 140-ish. I can kind of see the matchup. Like I think the Clippers have dominated smaller teams because Zubac is so good on the boards, whereas he won't really have that advantage in a series like this. But he is a good defender, so I think a guy of his build and stature is kind of the kind of guy who can slow down a Jokic in some ways, more so than like a finesse, good defensive big like a Jaren Jackson or something. Like Zubac is somewhat well equipped to handle that matchup. So I like the Clippers as well. I think it's probably like a 6 or 7 game series, but I think they can get through this one.
Yeah,
the way they're playing right now, like they've just been on a tear. Kawhi looks completely locked in. I think if they stay healthy, which is a big if for this team in the playoffs, but Harden looks back to form as he was a few years ago. Norman Powell, streaky shooter, can win you a game on his own. Zubac is playing really well. He had a great season. Like I think the Clippers are getting slightly underrated in this one.
Yeah, I would tend to agree in terms of them getting underrated. I think just because it's so low confidence in this one, my prediction is going to be that the series goes to 7 games because I do think it's going to be that tightly contested. Like, I mean, there's arguments to both sides. There's Jokic, there's the depth of and versatility and playoff experience of the Nuggets roster. The Clippers have a lot of that too, but I argue they probably don't have the same depth. And despite the coaching change, like we know this Nuggets team is going to be. They're going to be in it. They usually have like a big home court advantage in the playoffs. So It's going to be a tight series for sure. I'll lean Clippers with you guys just to stay consistent.
Yeah.
I'm down for 7. Wells.
Yeah, 6-7 is where I had it going as well for the Clippers. If for some reason like the public sentiment goes like absolutely crazy on the Clippers for some reason, I think the argument that you could make for the Nuggets is like you saw what Jokic did with Serbia, and like just how much he consistently is that guy. But I don't know. I think realistically, Clippers are actual NBA title contenders, but we'll save that for later. Moving forward, who do we got next year? Lakers T-Wolves. So everyone is in love with the Lakers here. I'm not going to lie. I'm not as much of a lover for the Lakers as the public is. I think they're a very good team. I think you have two potential like top 5 of all-time players if you really want to go crazy with it. But for me, I'm looking more towards the Lakers side. I think they get here, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than people want it. I'm honestly taking Lakers in 7.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Lakers would probably rather play the Timberwolves than the Warriors if things went differently yesterday. But I think the Wolves kind of have their own things that make this a tough matchup. They're really good defensively, which is necessary against a team that has 3 guys that can be on ball and score. So if you have like 3 good perimeter defenders and Jaden McDaniels and Ant and a mix of Dante and Conley and whoever else you want to throw at Reeves, I think like they match up pretty well, honestly. And I think Gobert is just going to absolutely feast on the boards in this one. It feels like a spot where the Lakers have kind of gotten by with a weaker center these last couple months, but this is a situation where there's a guy who can finish around the rim. He doesn't have like a super deep bag of offensive post moves or anything, but he can finish around the rim, and he's a great offensive and defensive rebounder. And when he doesn't need to really keep track of his matchup on defense, he's able to roam and kind of stay under the basket and affect shots from Luka and LeBron and Reeves, whoever it may be that's driving. Like he's great at affecting people's arc on shots around the rim and things like that. So I think the Lakers probably win this series, I guess, but the Timberwolves are super live. I don't think it should be as great of a discrepancy as we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with both of you guys. I'm probably Team Lakers here. I do think the post offense is.
Ooh, you muted yourself on accident there, Jackson. Yeah, click the button. You Gucci.
I mean, I think it's probably going to be really hard for them to contain the Lakers if they can keep the post scoring going. Really potent offense now that Luke is on the team, but I do think it's probably going to be closer than, as you guys said, these percentage points suggest. So I'll go 6-game win for the Lakers.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, I would like to be fair. I would not be surprised if like you just see Timberwolves somehow win that matchup and surprise everyone. I think the West is quite literally wild west. Yeah, Rockets probably going to be dogs in this series if Golden State wins tonight, or not tonight, tomorrow night.
Yeah.
But if Memphis wins, I would imagine they're probably favorites.
I would think so, yeah.
So, I don't know. I imagine we might be chalky here once again, but I'm rocking with Golden State. I like Ime Udoka as a coach. I think that you could make an argument that the Rockets have the best defensive team in the NBA. But if the Warriors get the win over this, like I'd expect them to, it should really help their confidence moving forward in this tournament and help them get into a better year as they get.
I think the Rockets are just like a year too early and one move too early.
Yeah.
I think they'll be super aggressive in free agency and in the trade market in the offseason and getting a guy that you can rely on consistently to produce offensively, whether that be a Devin Booker or someone else. Like I think they'll be pretty much going all in the offseason in order to kind of make this team get taken a little more seriously, because as of now, they just don't have the offense that I think you need to win a playoff series. Their defense is great, and you can kind of piece together offense, but you don't have a guy at the end of the game that you're confident in making the right decisions and getting to the rim and making shots. I mean, like Jalen Green is probably their closest thing to that, but he's just not consistent enough yet at this point in his career to be relied on in those moments. So I think they probably just don't have enough firepower quite yet. I think they're a great team. I think the series is probably a grind, and I think it probably goes 6, but I would take the Warriors in 6. I'm not even confident the Warriors are going to win tomorrow. I think we've looked so bad in playing games before, and I can just envision Ja Morant shooting a Molotov cocktail at the crowd and just flexing on everyone, but we'll see how it goes. But I think if the Warriors win tomorrow, it's probably the Warriors in 6.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Warriors have a good shot tomorrow. Like I said, we'll see where those injuries on the Grizzlies are at. But yeah, I basically just echo what you guys have to say there. I don't think do the Rockets have a single minute of postseason experience on their roster. Like it just feels like too good of an upset. Like it's definitely the easiest upset pick.
I'll say you can just say Fred VanVleet, maybe
Dylan Adams, Dylan Brooks.
But that's really it. Like it's just a team, like you guys are saying.
None of the young guys,
like the Thunder.
But I'm with you guys. I think that it's an upset in terms of seeding. Probably wouldn't be in terms of sports books, but I think that's probably the
I think if you're a Rockets fan, though, you should be super happy with this season and know that your team is going to do everything they can in order to make them a more real contender going into next year. I think there's like you're one big move away, and the supporting cast is fantastic. So I think even if you lose this series, there's a lot of positives to take away from this season. I wouldn't be too upset about it.
Agree. All right, Cavs versus anyone in the East. If it's the Magic, I'll give them 5, but realistically, it's a 4-game series. I
mean, I think the Magic can make it 5. I mean, they took them 7 last year. I'm not super sold on the Cavs in general, but I think
the East is just so bad.
This first round series, if they lose 2 games, I'm going to be incredibly worried about the Cavs because I've kind of had that feeling for a bit, but I do think it's not the greatest core of teams that they're potentially going against. So,
yeah,
it's not going to be the Magic, I guess, right? I guess they would have to lose the first game and win the second one.
Yeah.
I think if I had to guess, it'll probably be the Heat. The Heat are playing good basketball now. I don't really like the Hawks all that much, so if I'm predicting who's going to come out and be the 8, it's probably the Heat.
If I'm predicting, I might go with the Hawks. I feel like they have the offensive power. The Heat have been super inconsistent since the Jimmy trade. But yeah, I do think, what are the Magic, like the number 2 defense in the league? They've been super solid, at least on that side of the ball all year. Obviously, the Cavs have like the highest offensive rating in the league, but that'll at least be a bit more of a showdown than any of these other 3 games. And I think the Magic will probably be the ones to get through the first playing game. So
I think they'll play the Celtics probably.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of like the Giddler for the Bulls. Find himself.
They're playing fun basketball. I mean, they're like the definition of play-in merchants at this point. I feel like they've had a lot of like fun games in the play-in and then lose the second play-in, and that's just it. But I don't know. I don't know who the Cavs, like they're probably not. They don't really care who they play. I think they're pretty confident going in. I would say if they could pick a team they don't want to play, it's probably the Heat, just because they've played a ton of playoff games. They have the best coach in the NBA. They have wing defenders that can guard guards, and Bam is obviously a problem under the rim. They have guys that can score. I think like they'd much rather play the Hawks or the Bulls than the Heat. I think the Magic get through to the 7, so I'm not really including them. But I think of those 3, the Heat is probably the team they'd least want to play just because of experience and everything.
Yeah. All right, with that said, what do we have in the next one here?
I think it's the Pacers, and I think it's in 5 or 6. I don't even think it's – the odds, they're a big favorite to win in the books, but I guess the fans are loving the Bucks. But the Bucks, their current state without Dame and everything, Giannis is having an unbelievable season that I think has kind of been swept under the rug a little bit because the team has been disappointing and they've been injured and everything. But he's been unreal this year. I just think the Pacers provide a little bit too much. They're too deep, play too fast. I just think this one, if they can play at their pace, which the Bucks don't really mind that, I just think if you give the Pacers enough shots, I find it hard to believe they lose this series.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the Pacers have all the momentum going into this one. Obviously, with Dame out, it's pretty much going to be on the back of Tyrese Halliburton and whether he's going to be able to perform. In the way we've kind of come to expect him to perform, particularly going into the postseason last year. Like he's kind of had his ups and downs this year, but I think he can lock in, and that Pacers squad in general. I'm with you on the Pacers.
I will say I think the kind of the beauty of this Pacers team is that he can play poorly and they can still win games. Whereas the Bucks, if Giannis isn't shooting well in a game or he's missing shots at the rim, like they're just cooked. Versus the Pacers, if Tyrese is missing shots, he can still pass the ball to guys that are more than capable of scoring. And like they have just like 7 guys on the team that could score 20 in a game and kind of give you a boost. Where I just don't really see that same upside from the Bucks.
Agreed. All right, Pacers in 5 is what it is for me.
Sounds
I'm
good.
cool with that.
Knicks Pistons. Wasn't expecting this much love for the Knicks either. I thought Pistons were going to kind of be a popular upset pick.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly. Like the way the public's making this makes me a lot more skeptical of the Knicks here because in my personal bracket, I'm going to probably have it Knicks in 7. But like you can make a very easy argument that Cade is the best player in this series.
Yeah. I think that's a fair argument to make.
Yeah, I think if you were taking like a full season of work, I would take Cade of anyone in this series. Obviously, if you're like starting a team, he's 100% the guy you're picking. But I just haven't. I mean, he's never played a playoff game. It's just a different environment, a different type of defensive coverage and stuff that you'd be looking at compared to what he's used to in the regular season. And I just think the Knicks are more prepped to play a playoff series. Like they have these defensive wings who have kind of had ups and downs this year. But if you can throw OG on Cade for an entire series and make his life hell, even if he's making shots, they're going to be tough shots. He's going to have to work for everything he's getting. And I just think over the course of a full series, the Knicks' star power and kind of X factors are going to be the difference in this one. Obviously, the Pistons have guys off the bench that can make shots, like Malik Beasley makes 6 threes in a game or something. That's an X factor. But you just look at the Knicks and like Cat could give you 40, Jalen Brunson could give you 40. OG Anunoby has been scoring the ball really well recently. McCall will give you like 16 a game pretty much. Like there's just guys you can rely on to perform well versus you look at the Pistons roster. And obviously you love Cade, but I don't know that I trust Asar Thompson to provide reliable offense in a playoff series. I don't know, like Tobias Harris. Like it's not the same.
Lindy Waters, bro.
Yeah, Lindy. Whole pass.
Like, you're going to have to throw in like Tim Hardaway. You're going to have to take Tim Hardaway Jr. off that starting roster too. Like
it's not a full roster that I can like 100% trust to play well. And like they were a super fun story all year. Their defense is great. I think they have a lot of great young talent. I just don't think like Asar Thompson's offensive game at this stage in his career is anywhere near where it needs to be to make like a real impact. He's like more or less a lob threat, catches offensive boards and tip-ins and stuff. Like there's just not a ton of like creativity when you're set on defense. Yeah, I mean, as of right now, the Knicks are healthy. Who knows? In a playoff series where they're playing like 40 plus, it could get out of hand with the injuries like it did last year. But just going in with what we know, I feel like I'd like the Knicks in 6.
Yeah, I'm fine with Knicks in 6, if not 7. Like, I just think this team is going to go a lot further than people are expecting.
I think 7 is where I would put my coin.
Happy to compromise there.
Yeah, Pistons have the 3-1 series record versus the Knicks this year.
Yeah. I mean, that part is definitely worth noting, but I just feel like when you get into these situations and the offense bogs down, like I just don't know that they have the guys necessary to compete.
They remind me of my Sacramento Kings from 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, them and I like obviously the Rockets had a better regular season, but it feels like a similar story that you'll see here where both fan bases will leave being super content with what happened this year, but you fell a tad short.
Yeah. All right, on to the next one. My actual favorite team in the world, the Magic. You can go with the sweep. I'm an honest man. I know.
I think it's 5. The Celtics every year just have like one
they
game
always
where
lose one
they
game.
don't go in and stuff.
Yeah.
Like they just relies so heavily on shooting that when shots don't go in, like they just will lose the game. So like any team can
Jax
take
doesn't have
games from
offense.
them.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
They kind of play down to the level of whoever they're playing.
Agreed.
I agree. All right, let's go to the conference semifinals. Let's start at the drop. Make it drop. I want to take the Clippers. I'm not gonna lie.
I do too, but I don't know if that's crazy or not.
But that's what I'm saying. I think at minimum this series goes to 7. I think this
I
could
think so,
arguably
too.
be the best series of the whole entire playoff.
This is kind of when you're getting into prime Kawhi injury territory.
Yeah.
It just feels like things happen poorly for the Clippers every time their fans are starting to think they're legit. But just going in with the roster they have now, like that team is really, really good. And I just Shea will probably give you 30 every one of these games, but if we're looking at second options, like I trust James Harden to make better plays down the stretch than I do Jalen Williams. Kawhi looked like a man on a mission yesterday. He's been pretty locked in as of late in general.
47 minutes.
Yeah. I think this Clippers team is being slept on a bit. I also do acknowledge, though, like this Thunder roster is pretty much perfect.
Yeah.
They have guys that can compete in any sort of series. Like there's role players off the bench that are going to play more in this series than they would have in the first round. And they have matchups they can kind of pick and choose with. Like in this series, you're probably going to see a lot more Alex Caruso than you would if they were playing Denver or someone. It's just, I don't know. I kind of trust the playoff experience in this one.
Clippers. Like, you low-key had some good additions in the midseason for the Clippers. Like, I don't know. Jackson, bring us home here on what you're thinking between this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough one. I kind of do want to lean the Clips as well, just for the narrative. I think they obviously have the roster to do it. It's kind of an up and down roster if you look at it, especially in terms of experience. If they can activate Patty, if they can activate Nick Batum, it's like that's a wealth of knowledge there. Harden and Kawhi, they're veterans at this point. So I totally think that this Clippers team has a good chance of beating this young Thunder team. I don't know if I necessarily have a great prediction. I'm going to side with the Clippers, I think, but it's going to be a great series. I would imagine it goes 6 or 7.
All right, so
the Clippers' depth kind of worries me a bit.
So we want to roll with Thunder in 7 then, based off that, Grant, or
I mean, I feel like we all took the Clippers. No,
let's say Clippers in 7.
Let's do it.
I mean, if all of us took them, I feel like we gotta try it. But
all right, I'm taking Golden State. I think this is where things go sideways for Lakers fans because they're all getting really hyped now. I don't blame them. The roster is sick in one sense, but I think the lack of a big man is one thing. And I love JJ Redick, but coaching in playoffs is a lot different than most people expect. I think it's going to have shown in the previous series, and I think this series it's really going to show. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm curious where you guys land.
Yeah, the Lakers defense is bad.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
I think I am down to take the Warriors in 6, probably.
Jackson, were you on Warriors or were you on Lakers?
I was on Lakers.
All right. So
I don't think the post offense. I mean, the post matchup is really going to be that big of a problem in that series. I guess I'm kind of just trusting the star power in that one.
Yeah. I mean, I do think not having a big that you have to worry about is helpful for the Warriors because it lets Draymond kind of drift and do his thing. And like in this type of environment, like I think you're going to see Jimmy locked in on getting to the rim and stuff. And if you don't have the right guy under there, kind of forcing him out, like Jimmy yesterday looked great against Zubats, who's like a far better interior protector than Jackson Hayes would be or something like that. So it just feels like a situation where regardless of if there's a center to really bully Jackson Hayes, there's still going to be matchups you can exploit by like getting him in a pick and roll and kind of speeding him up.
Here. Like I know it's always joked about, but like that's where I think the real issue is going to
come. So is LeBron's, and so is Austin Reeves, and so is
Yeah, I do all. It's like I trust Steph a lot. I think there is a chance that certain games will come down to the Warriors relying on like the perimeter shooting from Steph, which is never a good thing, and it's not something the Lakers are a bit more multifaceted, I'd say, but and Steph is kind of beyond his prime. I think it's going to be a good one. I'm leaning Lakers. You guys are on Warriors though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole reason of getting Jimmy Butler is to make them
second unit
more multifaceted. Yeah, like you have
it totally
a
is.
different way to go attack a defense when you have a dude that's like full idea is to get to the rim or like create a shot in the paint and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's like pretty close to a 50-50. I think it could go either way.
100%. All right, rolling to the next one here. We're going down to the East. What are we going to find? Or did we already go through the East?
No, we have Cavs, Pacers.
Cavs, Pacers. I think Cavs roll through this one pretty easy, personally. But that's just me. I'm curious where you guys lean on this one.
Yeah, I'm going Cavs as well.
I'll take the Cavs, but I think it's closer than this little 3%. I think the Pacers have played well and looked good against the Cavs this season in their matchups, and I just like the pace. I think that provides like a different story for the Cavs. At the same time, the Cavs do shoot the ball super efficiently, so if you give them more possessions, it might not be the greatest thing in the world, but I think the Pacers can kind of make them uncomfortable and make the too big lineup not quite as effective as it has been for most of the season because you just have guys that are running at all times. I mean, they will go like 5 on 5 off and just bring on fresh legs and sprint, which I think is a little bit of a different look. I think the Cavs would much rather play the Bucks. I think that's an easy series for them. I think this one is at least like a different style that kind of makes things a little bit tricky. I do think they win the series, but I would probably give it 6.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 6 as well. I think that's a good prediction. These guys they score at pretty much the same rate. Like the Cavs just allow less points. I think it's going to be close.
Perfect. I love it. All right, next one. I'm going with the New York Knickerbockers.
What?
Boston Celtics in 6 games.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah. I think this is where the public gets just absolutely like, what the hell is going on, essentially.
Wait.
I don't know. I think things get weird.
Okay.
I'm on the opposite side of the coin, I think.
I think it's 5 games.
We'll go with Celtics in 5 because I think that's where it sounds like you're going.
I mean, I trust you. I kind of am curious on your lean on this. I was just shocked to hear that because I feel like the Celtics have swept the season series in this one, and the Knicks have kind of looked a tier below the top 2 teams in this conference. I think they're 0-6, losing by like a margin of 21 points a game against the Celtics and Cavs, which is just not really what you want to see. Obviously, things are different in the playoffs. Things look different, but I'm curious what your thought process is there because it's definitely interesting.
I don't know. Once you get to the playoffs, like everything changes. Like you have different environments, et cetera. It's like, yeah, Boston's been phenomenal, et cetera. But all the money's going to be on Boston once again. I guarantee it. Which makes me wonder, like, how long are these series really going to be for them? And this Celtics team clearly is not as good as it was last year. If we're just going by standings.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Knicks definitely have those things against them from the actual season itself. But this is the playoffs. They'll be running a lot more deeper rotations. I couldn't tell you who was in and out of those games. I imagine the Knicks were probably healthy for all those larger games.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure teams were injured in different spots and stuff, but
if you just barely lost a few games, it's like losing a split decision in UFC.
Yeah. Their last game went to overtime. I think the other 2 were like 30 and 28 or something. But I'm waiting to call the Celtics worse than last year. Obviously, the eye test would agree with that, and just kind of the standings and everything. Everything should point to them being slightly worse, but it's the same roster, and if anything, some of the bench players have like picked up a bigger role and have gotten better. I mean, Drew's probably declined a little bit, I guess, but I just think that the Celtics team has been through every permutation of a playoff series and has seen everything before, that this regular season was kind of just on cruise control in a lot of ways, and they're kind of just waiting for the playoffs. They knew they'd be in this spot. All the expectations were on them, and I just think it's still the best roster in the NBA. And I'm waiting to see. I mean, the first series won't even tell you anything either, because they'll probably lose a game and then win in 5. But this series, I think, is probably the spot when people are like, oh, this team was really just cruising for a while, and they finally found a return to form just because they were kind of in playoff mode for most of the regular season.
Yeah, I think it'd be a bit too early to say they're not as good as they were last season. They lost only 3 more games than they did last season. Their net rating is like 3rd, I think, in the NBA. They've set multiple NBA records. They also have like the added depth of Peyton Pritchard, who's been insane. Like, he's been on the team, but he hasn't performed the way he's been performing this season before this season. I think that he's going to show up in the playoffs personally. I think they might be better than they were last season, honestly. Like, I think the NBA has probably improved a bit overall since last season, but I don't think the Celtics have become worse.
I also think like their main issue, and probably why they've lost a lot of the regular season games, is because their depth isn't very good. And in the regular season, you're playing like 4 guys on the bench or 5 guys on the bench every game, versus in a playoff series, like you really only need to play 3 if you want to, and they have 3 guys that can play at a high level, and that's all you really need. Like, their starting lineup is so good. If you just want to throw Pritchard in there and Horford in there, and you get some minutes from like Sam Hauser, like you don't really need to play more guys than that. So I think tightening up rotations kind of benefits them more than it would any other team.
I just think the Knicks are younger than like Horford. Like, I don't know. I just think Horford's kind of too old for this game. Like, obviously he's been super efficient. He's been phenomenal. You can't really say that off the numbers he is putting up. And they do have far and away the best roster.
I mean, he's definitely old. But if you just need him to come in and play like 18 minutes a game off the bench and just like hound Cat for a while, like he's more than capable of doing that, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's definitely like, I'm quite clearly taking the dog here. But I don't know. I think the Knicks are just going to be very underrated in this. Like, as you can tell, no one is going to pick the Knicks here. I just think we're going to get a lot of chaos.
I'm curious to see. I think their series price, if they get paired like this, is probably going to be like plus 11 or something.
Yeah,
I think it would be pretty significant odds if you want to take that side. So you could be a very rich man coming in these next few weeks.
You could be, or very poor, one or the other. With that said, we going with Celtics in 5.
I mean, I think 6 is fine. Yeah.
Let's see here. Part of that was because I also saw, like, realistically the Thunder getting further, not going to lie. But I took the Clippers here, so be it. I like going with the Warriors, man. Like, I said this when the trade was made, and I'm sticking with it because I have the future on it. So as you can tell, I'm financially motivated. But when you have the best point guard of all time and a guy who took an 8 seed to the finals by himself, like, I don't know. Bring out the Kendrick album. It's the Warriors season. Like, that's just where I'm kind of rocking. Yeah, like,
I don't disagree. I would rather play the Thunder. So I think if it goes like this, if we're saying our bracket's perfect up to this point, I would take the Clippers. But if things go astray and the Clippers lose in the first round, and which they totally could, and the Thunder get through here, I would like our chances more than playing the Clippers. I just don't like the matchup against the Clippers whatsoever. We've lost every game we've played against them this year. They match up very well. They have guys that don't turn the ball over a ton, and you just have guys you can rely on. And the Zubac difference is big in this one. Like, he is able to just kind of catch those lobs and muscle his way into the paint in a lot of scenarios. I mean, if this is the matchup, I'd take the Clippers, but it most likely won't be, obviously. But
I'm kind of opposite in the sense that if the Warriors do actually make it to the Western Conference Finals, I think I would probably push them through. I just think the confidence, I think they have the roster to do it now with Jimmy. I think the confidence is part of it. And what?
I was 100%. It's like that's why I was like, if they get the 8 seed, they're screwed. But like, if they get past that first game, like their confidence is going to start flying.
Yeah, like
that's
the
what I'm
momentum
saying.
and stuff 100% makes sense. That's why I would like the momentum and trust them if they're playing the Thunder or something. I just don't like the matchup here. Like if they were playing the Thunder or the Nuggets, I'd be on board. I just don't. I don't know. I don't like this particular
Clippers is the
matchup,
worst
but
matchup for them. Fair.
Looks like Wells, you
I
got a
think so.
tiebreaker.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my finances are motivated by Golden State, so that's where
I'm fine to agree with you guys.
How many games though? That is the part of this equation that I have yet to figure out.
It would be if it's against the Clippers, it would be close. Like it'd be 6 or 7, kind of 50-50 between those.
All right. Rounding up is going to push us towards 7, so we'll go with them in 7. Why not?
All right. Let's do it.
All righty. Cavs, Celtics. I just think you get poetry with Cavs playing the Warriors. But like, I don't know. It's back to what I said. This team is also just like crazy, in my opinion, relative to where they were. Like, Garland is ascending. Donovan Mitchell is him in a sense. And Evan Mobley, I think you could have made an argument for him to be the most improved player this year.
Sure.
He's been phenomenal. The argument they could easily make as a counter to this, though, is Jared Allen and bright lights do not go well together. But very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on what we should really be expecting this series. I'm personally with the Cavs here, though.
I'm just bullish on the C's, man. Like I think I have them repeating. I think they're going to eventually beat everybody, so I'm going with the C's. But I do love the Cavs. I think this is going to be a great series. I think the Cavs are a reasonable pick here with how explosive their offense is. The Celtics kind of having trouble. I mean, the Cavs are definitely at their level, so I'm not going to say they're playing down to the level of the Cavs, but you know, it can get dicey for them at times. They're not always insanely consistent, especially like, you know, they have their ups and downs in playoff series. So I'm going C's, but I think it's going to be a great series. I'd probably go like 6 games.
Yeah, I like the Celtics as well. I think it'll be pretty clear early on if the Cavs are for real or not. They're obviously a great team, and every metric would say that, but I just haven't ever been impressed by them in a playoff series, watching their effort or their ability to just kind of handle a weaker opponent. They went 7 with the Magic last year, did not look competent against the Celtics in the playoffs last year, and obviously had a great regular season, but I'm just trying not to get too carried away until I see it happen in the playoffs. I think this Pacer series would be a big one. If they win this one in 5 or something, like I could be bought into them going all the way, but if this one slips away and it gets to 7 or something, or they even lose or whatever, like I wouldn't be shocked just based on kind of the data and the stuff they put on tape in the playoffs in the past. So before I go like too all in on the Cavs, I think I just need to see it first. So until then, I'm just trusting the defending champ in 6 or 7.
All right, 6 or 7. Jackson, where are you? 6 or 7 or 5?
I'm going to go 6, I think.
All right, 6. We're going to go demon numbers. Give us the 6.
6 it is.
All right, Warriors, Celtics in the finals.
Oh, this would suck.
Yeah.
This would be so stressful. I think the Celtics should win, to be honest.
Yeah. If we're being realistic, it's Celtics. I'll let you guys determine how many numbers in discussion here. My finances are tied to the Warriors, so I will be taking Warriors in 7 just because I'm
Is your future them winning the championship?
Yes.
Okay, because mine's just winning the West.
Yeah.
So I feel better about that potentially. I think whoever wins this series in the East probably wins the championship. Like, I don't know if there's odds you can get on that, but I think whoever wins this series probably wins it all.
I'm going season 5, double repeat, exact same amount of games.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's Warriors Celtics, it means the Warriors are playing some very high level basketball to get to this point. So I think it's probably 6. Like, just the X factor of some of those guys. Like, I mean, we saw this exact series 2 or 3 years ago, and there's definitely some matchups you can exploit with the Celtics, and we always play them pretty competitively in these last couple of regular seasons. We usually split the 2 games. I'm going to take the Celtics, but I think it's probably 6.
All right. And if for some reason it would be the Cavs, I'm curious, how do you see that matchup as well?
I think the Cavs would win too. I think whoever wins this series,
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of all relying on like hypotheticals. Like if you get to the series and hypothetically the Cavs beat the Celtics, it means they're legit enough to win. You're kind of just going on logic of if the team was good enough to beat the Celtics, then they're the team that they prove to be all regular season and they're good enough to win the finals.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but if they do pass this series, I think it'll show a lot and prove that they will probably be a favorite in this series.
I like it. All right. And I think we should play out this example because this is technically the most likely. If we get the Thunder to the finals against either one of these teams, how would that match up?
It's a good series. I would probably take whoever wins the East still, but I think it's still a 6 or 7 game series. I just think these two teams in the East are very good, and they'll be battle tested from that series. And going in with that kind of momentum, with a little break, I think both of these teams in this Eastern Conference Finals are so good that whoever wins the series just kind of proves that they're a level above the rest. Kind of like I think there's more good teams in the West, but I think the two like elite teams are probably in the East. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. All right. With that said, we've got the Celtics winning it all here, with the Warriors making kind of a Cinderella story for themselves, just for Jimmy Butler to get hit by heartbreak one more time.
Poor guy.
But with that said, I think that's all we have for you this time. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Subscribe if you haven't already. Invest in your favorite players ahead of the playoffs so you can get those Cinderella-like stock rises. And until next time, we'll talk to you all later. Hope you have a great day. Tell Grant what your favorite One Piece character is. Jackson, what your favorite Boston Red Sox player is. And me, I don't know, a new word to learn in Chinese. Until next time, peace, y'all. Hope you have a great day. And talk to y'all soon.
Peace.